Hello everyone, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. It's Tuesday, January 31st. I'm Batsir Namshir. Our top stories for today. President Khurelsukh vetoes the new Mongolian law on social media. UNICEF works to help children affected by severe winter conditions. Korea Telecom Group representatives meet with the Prime Minister. For the news, stay tuned. The Parliament of Mongolia passed a new law to protect human rights on social media, but human rights groups say it threatens free speech and gives the state the ultimate power to regulate content on social platforms. The law was presented by the Minister of Digital Development and Communications, Ochurul, and on Monday it was vetoed by President Khurelsukh.
This is the first time President Khurelsukh has vetoed a law approved by Parliament. The President of Mongolia, the Mongolian People's Party candidate elected in 2021, has the right to partially or fully veto laws and other decisions adopted by Parliament. However, those laws or decisions will remain in force if two-thirds of the parliament members present for voting reject the president's veto. According to some sources, an irregular session of parliament will be held in late February to discuss the president's veto after the Lunar New Year holiday. Civil and human rights organizations and media professionals worry that the law threatens free speech and gives the state the ultimate power to regulate content on digital platforms. Critics say some articles of the law are ambiguous, written in a way that allows the state to limit the reach of content that it deems offensive or intolerant. In addition, social media users note that the platforms they use already have mechanisms for regulating offensive content, like blocking, limiting access for other users, and hiding content, so there was no need to adopt a controversial law so quickly. Some suspect that the hasty adoption of the law could be related to approaching parliamentary elections, allowing politicians to limit the reach of content critical of candidates. Minister Ochurul continues to defend the law, saying that the law is not intended to regulate politicians and the media, but only to protect minors from online fraud and obscenity. In response to the minister's defense of the legislation, lawyers and human rights organizations note that the criminal code regulates cybercrime and that there is no need for a new law that can be misinterpreted.
The UNICEF Mongolia team visited the remote western zones of Davst, Turgen, Altai, Uyinch and Bodrun in Ovsendhovd provinces to assess the winter conditions and deliver assistance.
These communities have been hard hit by severe winter conditions known as Dzot, marked by unusually cold temperatures and frequent snowfall compared to previous years. In some parts of Ovs and Hovd, snowfall reached up to 1 meter. Although the communities and local governments had prepared for winter, such extreme conditions were unexpected. According to herders, last summer was dry, resulting in very little grass, which led to this year's Dzot and many animals dying.
So based on the assessment done by NIMA here, we decided to go to those provinces and zones, and we have seen the reality there. And when reaching those zones, we were able to provide what we have in hand quickly to support a family, to support institutions there, and also to bring our moral support to the nurses, to the teachers, and also to the governors, working hard to support those who are in need. We are able to bring over 100,000 material, including medicine, to those affected as a first gesture of our intervention. The needs are huge, not only in terms of animal food, but also in terms of clothing, like warm clothes for the children is needed. They need also a fuel to make sure that they continue cleaning the road. They need food for animals who are very, very weak. And then they are bringing from the mountain to where they can secure more space for them so that they can live. They need equipment to open the road. And they need also some of the transportation to make sure that the school that is opening on Monday, more than 2,000 children who are trapped in this very hard situation, they can basically access and go to school. So this is the challenge that we are having now, how we can bring those children trapped in the area where they are totally without any access to the nearest school, or where the teacher cannot go to some of the school as well, and when also we cannot deliver food, meals to those schools in a very remote area. So those are some of the challenges that we had.
Although the local authorities have been helping herders in remote areas, there is still a need for cars and fuel to deliver healthcare services, as well as essential vitamins, medicine, and fodder for livestock. Many roads have been closed because of heavy snowfall, which can make it difficult for many children to return to school after the winter break. There are over 2,200 school children in 5 of the SOMs the UNICEF team visited who could miss school due to the weather conditions.
You're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
Prime Minister of Mongolia Oyurdu met with Hyun Mok-koo, CEO of Korea Telecom Group, and discussed cooperation opportunities. The Prime Minister emphasized that relations between Mongolia and South Korea, especially in economic and social spheres, have been expanding for the last 30 years based on solid strategic partnership. He noted that KT's plans to invest in information technology, communication infrastructure, health, and the banking sector in Mongolia would be important for expanding economic relations and cooperation between the two countries. Hyun Mok-koo thanked Prime Minister Oyurdu for the meeting and elaborated on plans to cooperate in Mongolia's digital transition. Korea Telecom Group plans to establish a modern diagnostic center in Mongolia, and feasibility study for the project is underway. As part of the visit, Koo signed a cooperation agreement with the Bank of Mongolia on January 26th and plans to sign a memorandum of cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and Tourism on content exchange.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. Turkey could greenlight Finland's membership in NATO before that of Sweden if the military alliance and both Nordic countries agrees to it, the Turkish foreign minister said Monday.
Some steps were taken in Sweden, such as constitutional amendments and legal amendments. Unfortunately, there are steps back due to the provocations of groups that want to prevent Sweden from joining NATO.
Mevlut Çavuşoğlu defined Finland's application as less problematic than that of Sweden. Turkey accuses Stockholm of failing to take concrete steps to crack down on groups that Ankara considers to be terrorists. More recently, Turkey has been incensed by Quran-burning protests that were staged outside the Turkish embassies in Stockholm and Copenhagen by an anti-Islam activist who holds Swedish and Danish citizenship. Sweden and Finland applied jointly to become members of the military alliance, dropping their long-standing military non-alignment following Russia's war in Ukraine. NATO requires unanimous approval approval to admit new members. Turkey has been delaying the ratification process of the Swedish unfinished bids in its parliament. Turkey has accused the government in Stockholm of being too lenient toward groups it deems as terror organizations or existential threats, including Kurdish groups. On Sunday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan also suggested that Ankara might sign off on Finland's application in a shock to Sweden. He said Turkey had provided a list of 120 people it wants extradited from Sweden, and demand that was part of a memorandum signed in June that averted Turkey's veto of the Nordic nations' joint application.
A plane carrying personnel of the Azeri embassy to Iran, including those wounded during an attack on Friday, as well as the body of the killed embassy security chief, arrived in Baku late Sunday.
According to Azerbaijani Deputy Foreign Minister Khalaf Khalafov, the embassy in Tehran suspended operations completely, but the consulate in Tabriz keeps working.
We have completely stopped the activity of the embassy. There are certain speculations that diplomatic activity has not stopped. It has stopped. 5 employees will remain at the embassy in connection with the protection of the embassy's administrative building and the embassy's property. But they will not conduct diplomatic activities. We have a consulate general in Tabriz. This decision does not apply to the activities of the consulate general.
A gunman stormed the Azerbaijan embassy in Iran's capital Friday, killing its security chief and wounding 2 guards. Iran blamed a personal dispute over the attack, though it comes amid heightened tensions between the 2 countries. Azerbaijan later accused Iran of ignoring threats at the diplomatic post and said it would evacuate its staff.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz arrived in Santiago on Sunday, the second stop of a tour of South America, where he visited the Museum of Memory together with President Gabriel Boric, and later both held a meeting at the La Moneda Palace. Scholz met with the Chilean authorities as part of an agenda that also includes exchange with businessmen.
The talks with Boric touched on various topics, including the war in Ukraine, climate change, and the development of new renewable energy projects, in which Chile could become a world leader in the production of green hydrogen. In addition, cooperation agreements were signed in technology and innovation, mining, training, circular economy, and energy. The amount of German investment in Chile exceeds $1 billion, according to data from the central bank. President Boric confirmed at a press conference that, like Argentina, his country was invited to join the Climate Club, an initiative promoted by Scholz to make progress in mitigating the climate crisis, which is made up of G7 and G20 countries, the president explained. Renewable energies and green hydrogen will be of special importance. Scholz showed interest in lithium, of which the country has large resources, and other sustainable energies. Scholz also stressed that the war in Ukraine is not a purely European issue, but a challenge for the entire international order with serious consequences for the world, such as raw material prices and food security. Germany was grateful for Chile's unequivocal position on this matter. A central theme of both leaders was the unrestricted defense of human rights, with mention of the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the coup d'etat in the country, which is taking place this year. They also spoke about the situation of Colonia Dignidad, a settlement of German settlers where all kinds of atrocities and human rights violations took place during the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet, for which there have been a reparation program or sufficient compensation from either the Chilean or the German state. Both leaders pledged to create a memory center at the site. Scholz arrived in Chile from Argentina, where he met with President Alberto Fernandez and discussed similar issues. They also discussed the Mercosur-European Union trade agreements, which have been stalled for years and are expected to be expedited in the coming months. Scholz will leave on Monday for Brazil to meet with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the last stop on his South American tour. Germany, the European Union's leading economy, is trying to relaunch its influence and relations with Latin America at a complex geopolitical moment in Europe and in the face of China's advance in the region.
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. Argentina captain Lionel Messi said he has achieved everything in his career during an interview to Urban Play FM radio, his first since winning the 2022 Qatar World Cup.
The interview was recorded last Friday, 27th of January, but went on air this Monday. The 35-year-old footballer who finally became world champion in his fifth participation also referred to the iconic moment when he kissed the trophy. I achieved everything in my career at Barcelona, on a personal level too. Winning the World Cup was closing my career in a unique way. When I started with all this, I never imagined that it would be this way, that all this would happen to me, and I think that reaching that moment was the best. He's also said he is sorry for the crosses he had with coach Louis van Gaal and the Dutch players during the World Cup match. La Albiceleste beat the Netherlands 4-3 in a penalty shootout after a 2-2 draw at 2022 World Cup quarterfinals. The game was marked by several controversies. Van Gaal provoked his South American rivals by stating that if there was a penalty shootout, his players were better prepared. He also recalled that Messi didn't touch the ball in the 2014 World Cup semi-final, which Argentina won via penalties.
Huge crowds could be seen celebrating in Philadelphia on Sunday night after the NFL Philadelphia Eagles defeated the San Francisco 49ers 31-7 in the NFC Championship game.
The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles will meet next month in Super Bowl 57, a game that will pit Andy Reid against his former team and that will feature two black starting quarterbacks for the first time in Super Bowl history. This will be Patrick Mahomes' third Super Bowl appearance in his 5 seasons as Kansas City's starter, while Jalen Hurts has led the Eagles to the Super Bowl in his second full season as the starting quarterback. The teams will play on February 12th in Glendale, Arizona, and both quarterbacks will need to use the time before the game to recover from lingering injuries. Mahomes sprained his right ankle on January 21st in Kansas City's divisional round win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, while he passed for 326 yards in Sunday's 23-20 win over the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship, and he nimbly scrambled for a first down on the play that set up the game-winning field goal. Mahomes was clearly playing through pain and limped at times throughout the game. Hurts, a right-handed quarterback, sprained his throwing shoulder in December and missed 2 regular season games. He returned for the Eagles' regular season finale and both their postseason games, but as said, his shoulder is not 100% healthy. Each team entered the postseason as the number 1 seed in its respective conference, but they advanced to the Super Bowl under very different circumstances.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you on Wednesday with more news and updates. Goodbye.